Hello! Today we are working on BC3300 replacement capacitor boards. I ordered in a bunch of parts to populate all these boards. I've run out of them, so I'm just replenishing my stock on them. And to give a quick overview of it, you can see on these are the capacitor boards that are inside of the BC3300 battery chargers. And you can see the vias or pads get destroyed. They start arcing inside and they eventually burn up. And without the heat sinking, you end up with capacitors that fail and then they start smoking. This one doesn't have any that are like really blown up. I mean, there's a few here where you can see the magical smoke has come out, but this guy's got, this is typically what you end up seeing is the capacitor gets so hot it cracks and splits open and then it doesn't work anymore. So today we're going to be building up a few boards. Back in 2011 I went and took one of these boards and took all the components off of it and marked everything out and wrote a bunch of dimensions down and made a clone of it and was able to get those ordered. It's a I'm trying to remember if it's I think it's 4-ounce copper board, because I didn't know what this was, but it's definitely heavier than a normal board, so I figured it was 4-ounce, and they came out comparable, so I'm pretty sure that this is a 4-ounce copper board as well. And you can see that they are, I guess the ultimate check is, do they line up? And they do. You can see through it. So I made these a while ago and I built up a batch of them and I ran out. And so if a BC3300 charger comes in, I have no way to fix it. And well, I guess if it's got a bad cat board in it. So we're going to build up a few today. And we'll just get these guys out of the way here. And so the reason it takes a while is these have to come from Germany, the WEMA caps here, and they are usually takes a couple weeks to get them. So I ordered these a while ago and they finally received. There's 56 here, and then these ones are a little bit easier to come by. So these are let's see, 600 volt 1 microfarad capacitors. These guys are 0.15 microfarad, 1250 volt DC, 600 volt polypropylene capacitors. And then I got little these guys, which are 630 volt 2.2 microfarad capacitors. They don't have a label, or you kind of get the light at the right angle and you can see what they say on them. So I now have all of the capacitors in to build up these boards, and then ultimately what I'm going to do is get, I think I have enough, I want to get the battery chargers that I've been converting over from the SAFT and LG4. I want to, that's another reason I didn't have any more boards for those, so I'm going to go ahead and put those in so that I can sell those off and recoup some of the money for all of this and to fund more projects, because electronics has been hemorrhaging money as of late. So we kind of need to get that back in. This is all the boards I have left. I think I originally ordered like 25 and I've got like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 of these left. So after these are done, I'd have to do another board run, and that's going to be expensive. I think for 25 of them it was like $600 or something like that. So it might have been more than that. I'm not sure. I don't remember. I'd have to go back and look it up. But I know it was more expensive than normal just because of the heavier copper on them. But we're going to go ahead and build up a few. I think I ordered enough to build up 2, 4, 6, looks like 7 boards. So I'll build up 7, and then we'll just leave the remaining bare boards for another capacitor run. unless people want to buy them. I did have some people, I was selling them for, I think it was $50 a piece. You can just buy the bare board, and then a fully populated board was $150. And then if you want to send your battery charger in for me to disassemble it and swap out its capacitor board, put a new one, give it an overhaul and a tune-up, I think that I was charging $350 for that. So, if you look at some of the other videos, you'll see how much labor is involved in taking one of those battery chargers apart and putting it back together. So, I think the price is justified, although people usually complain about how much it costs. But, oh well. So, I'm going to go ahead and start populating these. I'm going to do it in a particular order based on component height. So, if you look here, there are different heights, and so you want to put the short ones in first, then these guys, and then these guys. But I'm planning on yeah, I think we'll just go ahead and do it in that order. I was thinking about just populating everything, and just one of the things I've done in the past when I built them up is I bent the pins over. So rather than, you know, like on those other ones where the via, where it's just straight in like that, I bent the pins over to try to give it some more surface area when it was soldered in, to keep it from you know, better heat transfer, and to keep it from just arcing inside there and eventually burning up. And I haven't had any come back with that. I actually haven't had any of the ones that I've made since, was it 2011, come back. And I think that's expected. I mean, I don't suspect that, I mean, these things have been out in the field for almost 20 years now. So they have a pretty good lifetime before they start having issues. And even the earlier ones, if they came in, if they're under a lot of heavy use, then they end up getting about, you know, 10 years or so, at least, out of them. So it hasn't been out long enough for that to happen. So maybe in 2020, they'll start coming in. We'll see. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and populate one real quick, and we'll solder it together. So I went ahead and put these guys on. I haven't soldered them yet, but I went and bent the pins over, and I bent them in such a way to maintain the clearance. So on this side, this is all the same plane, and on this side, see how there's a high voltage relief there, because you don't want that to arc. And these are at the same potential, so it's okay. So I'm trying to bend them in such a way that I can keep the pin on there just to hold them in, and hopefully give it a little bit more surface area so it doesn't just burn out the via, or the pad, and the through hole pad, I guess. And yeah, so we're gonna go and make a bunch of these. I have to keep on pausing it. It'll be kind of like a little time-lapse video, because they end up the cell phone will stop recording, and then I'll have to load them up in multiple parts. But this is all I'm doing. I'm coming in here, the old fingernail, and just bending them down. So pretty simple, just to get them all in here. I wasn't gonna show this live because it gets pretty boring, but yeah, that's what fast forward on YouTube is for, right? So I think what I'm gonna do is go ahead and populate all of these, and these aren't polarized, but I'm putting them in so that the labels are the same on all of them. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all the caps in first, and then I'll come back and just flip them upside down, solder them all. Makes it easier. Again, I'm putting in the shortest ones first, so that they're nice and level. They're not like held suspending. You might also notice that I'm not gluing them in. I did a run where I used silicone, because they glued them in with a very hard epoxy on the old boards, and I think that's what caused their issues, is as it got hot and thermally expanded, it would shrink and contract, and that would pull the little pin in and out, and eventually waller out the hole and cause it to start arcing and falling apart. So I'm not putting them in. These are structurally strong enough. I mean, they're epoxied in. I don't think they're going to go anywhere. I think that's half the problem, is the fact that they used a very stiff epoxy. And they, one run that I did, I used silicone adhesive to try to hold in the cap while I soldered them, but I didn't bend over the pins. In this batch, I'm going to bend over the pins. So we'll see over time which worked better. There you go. Those ones are all in. So, I guess I will... So I could either just solder all of these ones up right now or just put in the other caps. I think because I'm bending over the pins, they're going to stay in pretty good. I think I'll just put in all the caps and then just solder them all in one run. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. Let's see. I'm going to do exactly the same thing that I've been doing. So the next video will have them all populated then, unless I can keep pausing. So I can keep all one video. We'll see what happens. Okay.